Before you can manifest anything, you need to be in control of your emotional state. State control comes before anything else when it comes to manifestation, right? Now, state control is a skill, right? It is a skill of you consciously altering your emotional state whenever or wherever you are, right? The more you practice state control, the more proficient you become in it. And since emotion is the biggest factor in your frequency, you mastering the skill of state control is very essential when it comes to manifestation. Now, the universe doesn't give what you actually want, it only matches to your vibrational frequency, right? So, if you have been emitting emotions like fear, worry, lack, anxiousness, any negative emotion, then the universe will rearrange the world to match that vibrational frequency that you are emitting, right? Emotion is just energy in motion. So, it's very much important that you stay in control of your emotions. Because once you have state control, then emitting positive emotions like joy, happiness, bliss, feeling secure, all of these emotions, it becomes very easy for you to emit it to the world and become consistent in it. So this video is all about making you master the art of state control, right? So let's start with the foundation. Your thoughts and feelings can influence your behavior, your action, right? And vice versa, your action and your behavior can also influence your thoughts and emotions. Our physical state and actions have an immediate effect to our thoughts and feelings, right? So it is a two-way street. What this means is your psychology can be made to influence your physiology, and thereby your physiology can also be made to influence your psychology. So, what this means is every emotion from joy to sadness, every emotion has a corresponding physical state, right? So, when you are sad, you slump your shoulders. That means you're sad, right? But when you're confident, you will raise your shoulders up, your chest will be held high, right? So what this means is every emotion has a corresponding physical state. So when you do this particular posture or when you attain that physical state, then that means you can bring up those positive emotions that is associated with that physical state. That is the trick, right? Your body can be made as a tool to influence the emotions that you feel, right? The way you walk, the way you talk, the way you breathe, the way you sit, all of these postures can be modified so that you feel better, you feel good about yourself, right? Your physiology is a secret tool that many of us are ignoring. So when you feel a certain way, your body naturally adapts to the physical posture, to the emotion that is associated with that state. So the key here is to consciously reverse the process. Attain that physical state first so that the emotion or that feeling that is associated with that posture will follow. So here's how you can, so here's how you practice state control. First, identify a goal state. What emotional state do you want to attain? Do you want to feel bliss? Do you want to feel joy? Do you want to feel secure? Do you want to feel grateful? Do you want to feel calm? Do you want to feel confidence? What is the base emotional state that you want to feel right now? Identify it and note it down. Now, close your eyes and recall a vivid imaginary scenario that has already happened that made you feel that particular emotion. Right? If you want to feel grateful, then remember a time where you felt enormously grateful for a particular thing that happened in your life. So close your eyes and imagine that scenario that happened in your life that made you feel that feeling that you want to feel right now. Pay attention to every single physical detail that is in that memory, right? Use your five physical senses as well. Use your touch, use your smell, use your eyesight, use your hearing ability. Make that imagery, make that scenario as vivid as possible in your imagination. How were you standing? What were your facial expressions? What were the facial expressions for the people around you? Where were you? What posture were you emitting at that particular moment? Be as detailed as possible. Now, once you imagine it, what you need to do is you need to physically adopt that posture that you had during that memory and also adopt the breathing pattern of that memory. So, adopt that posture and the breathing pattern of that particular scenario right at this moment for at least 60 to 120 seconds, right? So, for example, if in that particular memory I was feeling confident, then I will imagine myself that I am in that scenario right now and I would breathe as if I was in that particular scenario. I would I would raise my I would raise my chest, I would raise my shoulders, because that is how I would feel if I was confident in that particular scenario. So in your life, whatever emotion you want to feel right now, bring that memory to the present, feel it, feel it as vividly as possible, and adopt that posture and breathing pattern to the present moment, and just stay there for at least 2 minutes. So that is one way of making yourself feel the emotion that you want to feel at this present moment. Now, to make this more effortless, to become more skilled in this, here's another technique that you can do. So start writing down every single emotion that you want to feel every day. This can be feeling grateful, feeling confident, feeling calm, feeling relaxed, feeling secure. What are positive emotions that you want to feel? Write it down so that you can practice going into this emotion. And once you've written down the emotions that you want to feel, write down the polar opposites of that emotion as well. Right? So if you want to feel grateful every day, then write down the opposite of feeling ungrateful as well. Right? So on one side you have the list of positive emotions that you want to feel, and on the other side you have this negative emotions that are polar opposites to these positive emotions. Now, once you have the list of both negative and positive emotions, start embodying the positive state first, right? So let's say you want to feel grateful. Close your eyes, do the technique that I just told you. Imagine a scenario where you felt eternally grateful, right? And once you are in that feeling of gratefulness, break that pattern, break that trance, right? Because once you want to attain an emotional state, you go into a trance, right? So break that trance, and now try to attain the opposite emotional state, right? So if you practice feeling grateful, then immediately start feeling ungrateful, right? So this entire exercise is you shifting from one feeling and immediately shifting to the opposite of that feeling. So when you go back and forth from the positive emotion to the negative emotion, you will clearly know what body posture and breathing pattern that you need to adopt in order to attain that emotional state, right? So this entire exercise is you shifting from one emotion to another emotion. And by particularly, I mean moving from the positive emotion that you want to feel and the negative emotion that you don't want to feel. So that whenever you are in these negative emotions that you don't want to feel, you will know what posture and breathing pattern that you can adopt to immediately shift to this positive emotion. That is why I told you to write the positive emotions that you want to feel and the negative emotions that are opposites to those emotions. So whenever you are in a negative emotional state, one trick that I use that you can use as well is to do a pattern interrupt, right? So whenever you are in a negative emotional state, you can do a physical action like stomping your feet or punching in the air or clapping your hands or jumping up and down, because that will shock your nervous system and that will give you a window to shift to the more positive emotions rather than staying stuck in that particular negative emotion, right? So use pattern interrupts throughout your day whenever you are feeling down, so that you will get a window to shift to the positive emotion. So that is how you practice state control and become a master at it. You know what emotions you want to feel, and you know the opposites of those feelings. So you need to continually switch back and forth from the positive emotion to the negative emotion. So you will know physiologically and psychologically the difference between those positive emotion and negative emotion, right? So when you're practicing sadness, you will slouch your shoulders, you will look down, you will have a certain breathing pattern and a certain posture that reflects that sadness. Now again, if you shift to happiness state, you will straighten up, you will look at other people's eyes. There will be a specific breathing pattern for that state, right? So the entire trick in state control is you shifting your posture and your breathing pattern so that you can shift your emotional state. So whenever you transition from one emotion, from positive emotion to negative emotion, this is how you break it down, right? So once you feel that positive emotion, come out of it, become neutral, take a few deep breaths, shake out some limbs, and now practice that negative emotion. That is how you transition from the positive emotion and the negative emotion. And once you do this repeatedly, so for example, let's say you're practicing feeling secure about your money situation and feeling insecure about money situation, and you do this exercise, and once you do it consistently, you will immediately have the power. So whenever you're feeling insecure, you will immediately have the power to switch to feeling secure, because you will know what posture and breathing pattern for you to adopt in order to feel secure and break out of the negative loop. But if you're still stuck in the negative loop, use a pattern interrupt like I told you. punch in the air, clap your hands, do anything abnormal in that particular situation so that that will shock the nervous system and that will give you a window to shift to the more positive side. So that's it from me. If you want to work with me personally, then check out the link in the description, or you can keep consuming the free stuff that I post, and I will see you in another video.